The time is at hand.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
One of the many spirits said to haunt the area.
Unknown animal attack.
We need a great reset.
Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen.
From 659 feet up in the Appalachian Mountains, you're in dark places. Welcome. This is episode 113. Some people say 13 is bad luck, so look out. This week on the show, we're taking a road trip into the unknown. It's been a while. And this week's road trip, we're going to the state of Hawaii. So, do you find yourself asking, how are you going to drive to Hawaii on a road trip? Hey, don't question the science. We're taking a road trip to Hawaii. Do whatever you want to, but don't ever question the science. You remember when Darth Fauci was screaming and yelling in that interview? Did you ever see that? Someone was asking him something about people questioning his knowledge and everything like that on his vaccine stuff. And he started just flipping out on him. He said, "You can question me all you want to, but don't ever question the science." He's just freaking out. And I can't find that anywhere now, so I think it's been removed from all of the interwebs. If you find that, send it to me. It was hilarious. Guy was freaking out.
Good afternoon, in dark places individuals. This is your friend Mr. Haunted, and our fearless leader Junebug asked me if I could look up some Hawaii stories, urban legends, or any kind of hauntings from Hawaii, and I was so excited because I immediately jumped to this.
Here's the story of a lovely lady who was bringing up three very lovely girls.
You ask why? Why did I think of the Brady Bunch? Because that was my favorite show as a kid, and there was one particular episode that I remember that I enjoyed. Let me tell you about it. Hawaii Bound is the first episode of Season 4 of The Brady Bunch and the 73rd overall episode of the series. It first aired September 22nd, 1972. Buckle my shoe. Mike is sent on a business trip and brings the entire family to Hawaii, where Bobby unearths an ancient tiki said to bring bad luck to whomever is holding it. So everyone in the family is excited when Mike tells them that his company is sending him to Honolulu for a business trip to check out a construction project. And he is able to bring them all along, all expenses paid. Their vacation starts off well as they take in the many sights of Oahu and learn about the history of Pearl Harbor. But things start to change when the boys accompany Mike to the construction site. There, Bobby finds a small tiki idol, which he decides he will keep as a good luck charm. One of the construction workers, old Mr. Hanalei, they call him old Mr. Hanalei, a traditional native islander, earlier saw the idol and recognized it as a native taboo idol of evil to anyone who touched it. The Brady boys laugh at the curse and blow it off as superstition. Bobby and Cindy meet island entertainers Don Ho and Sam Kapu while the idol is in Bobby's possession, but near catastrophes occur to whomever is in the possession of the idol. although no one in the family sees it as a bad luck charm. Bobby unwittingly destroys his ukulele by sitting on it, and later narrowly avoids being hit in the head by a heavy wall decoration. Alice finds the idol and wears it during a hula session and throws out her back. Greg wears it while in a surfing contest and experiences a nasty wipeout, leaving the family frantic. So this family kept transferring this idol from family member to family member, not learning their lesson every time. When finally they had to bring the idol back to the sacred cave, it was a very scary episode, and place it back. And I think that broke the curse. So let's take a trip to Hawaii and see what we can find.
Like their mother, the youngest one in curls. It's a story.
I love that episode. That was great. Just had a creepy vibe through the whole thing. It wasn't like any other kind of sitcom or anything with the TV audience and stuff like that. It was creepy. And now here is the Nicolas Cage meltdown of the week.
We pulled up at approximately 1000 hours and immediately witnessed a black Escalade running curbside about 50 yards from the entrance to the bank. There was a white male seated behind the wheel.
Did you notice any other suspects entering or exiting the bank?
No, sir. At the moment, we were focused on the vehicle and the driver, but just as we came to a stop, the driver stepped out of the Escalade with a fully automatic assault rifle. And that is when we began taking incoming fire, and my partner was hit.
No other passengers in your vehicle?
Yes, sir. Yes, we had one ride along in the back.
You had a ride along in the back? Where's the ride along now?
Where's the ride along now? I don't know where the ride along is, sir. What took you so long?
Chandler, I just need to know if I need to know where the ride along is.
What took you so long?
We can only get to this active shooter as quick as possible.
No, you were an hour late, and we were outgunned.
Chandler?
And my son is dead! He's dead! He has a child on the way! What took you so long?
Chandler, you gotta de-escalate.
And now here's a look at the news this week. Robotic snake may hunt for aliens someday. Scouring one of Saturn's moons for extraterrestrials. Sounds exciting, right? Turns out it's not that simple. In order to track down life on Enceladus, one of the ring planet's 83 moons, you'll need to look underground, NASA scientists say. Thanks, NASA scientists. Making matters even more complicated is the fact that Enceladus' surface is frozen solid. So what kind of icebreaker is in order here? Enter eels. A 16-foot robot shaped like a giant snake for maximum boring and crawling power. The prototype for the exobiology extant life surveyor eels will soon be ready, and then it could be off to the outer reaches of Saturn in search of life. But that's no overnight journey. It's estimated that getting eels to Enceladus could take more than 12 years. So yeah, why bother? We'll be long gone by then.
Our UK news correspondent Paul Chadwick sent us in these news articles. UFO seen flying over King Charles' coronation as mystery object spotted over aircraft. A photographer claims to have pictured a UFO airborne over King Charles' coronation on Saturday. Simon Balson, 59, was taking snapshots of the aerial show, which was scaled down due to weather conditions, when he picked up the unusual object. The photographer says he has no clue what the object is, adding that there have been numerous similar sightings in the East London area in recent years. The images show the Red Arrows aircraft in flight heading towards the mall in London. However, slightly above is a red object. Due to the conditions, Simon did not review the photos until Sunday morning, after which he noticed the unusual object in a single frame. He said, "I was shooting," even British people have a southern accent, "I was shooting some photos from the 13th floor of my apartment building in Limehouse when the Red Arrows did their flyover. The weather was bad, so there was no birds in the air, and I couldn't really see the planes, so I really didn't check the photos until later." He thought, "What the HE double hockey sticks?" I enhanced the image and tried to increase the spec to see what it was. It looks like a floating acorn or something. All I could get is that it had a little bit of a red top, but I just have no idea what it could be," the photographer said. In related news, the Grim Reaper was also spotted at the coronation. Eagle-eyed Twitter users spotted what appeared to be a cloaked figure scurrying in the background of King Charles III's coronation, likening the unknown individual to the Grim Reaper. A person wrapped in hooded black robes, carrying a long rod akin to a scythe, was caught dashing in front of the golden arches within the cathedral Saturday. "Anyone else notice the Grim Reaper at Westminster Abbey?" a person wrote on Twitter, grabbing 2 million views. "I noticed him. Who's he looking for?" one person responded. Anyone else see the Grim Reaper make an appearance at the coronation?" tweeted another. One user quipped it could be Prince Harry's wife, Meghan Markle, in disguise, but she was reported to be staying home in California. The footage even reached TikTok, where one at-home viewer scored 8.8 million views on the Reaper's quick cameo. "Nah, it can't be just me that saw it," the caption read in part. "Diana getting a revenge," offered one viewer.
Thanks, Jimmy. And thanks, Paul. And Paul sent an update to the situation. King Charles III's coronation this weekend was an entertaining occasion, but the show was partially overshadowed by a mysterious cloaked figure who appeared during the event, which social media users compared to the Grim Reaper. In videos of the proceedings, a hooded figure wearing black and holding a stick is seen quickly walking past the open door of Westminster Abbey outside, as Jimmy just reported. But there is a simple explanation. When contacted by Newsweek, Westminster Abbey identified the figure as a verger, a member of the Abbey's community who assists with religious services, but who is not a member of the clergy. So there's nothing scary to see here. Party poopers. I'm going with Grim Reaper.
So, thanks, Paul, for sending us in these stories. Keep up the good work.
Hawaii is a state in the western United States, about 2,000 miles from the U.S. mainland in the Pacific Ocean. It is the only state outside North America, the only state in the tropics. It was the 50th state admitted into the Union on August 21st, 1959. With a history steeped in religion, culture, and even civil war, Hawaii is no stranger to crazy urban legends. From legends surrounding the powerful and influential volcano goddess to modern myths of wandering spirits, the Aloha State isn't all sunshine and happiness. So buckle up for our road trip into the unknown, Hawaii.
So take this trip to Hawaii with us. We're about to lift off. Buckle up, buckaroos. We're going to Hawaii. Be landing momentarily. Holy mackerels. The first haunting we're going to hear about is the haunting of Hawaii's Saddle Road. Saddle Road, gonna put it on you. There are many ghost stories from the haunted highways and byways of the Hawaiian Islands. The Pali Highway in Oahu, the Tunnel of Trees on Kauai, and the Road to Hana on Maui are some of the most famous. As the biggest of the islands in the archipelago, I don't know if I said that right, I remember that word from 4th grade, though. The island of Hawaii has several hair-raising routes, including the notorious Saddle Road. Saddle Road is a long, dark, lonely stretch of highway that straddles the no man's land between the peaks of Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea, rambling on for over 50 miles. Instead of taking the long way along the coastal roads, those who favor the most direct route between Hilo and Kona cross into the mysterious interior, the very heart of Hawaii. In the past, this roadway was harrowing for a number of reasons, some practical and some otherworldly. The first attempts to connect the east and west sides of the island by missionaries were foiled on either side by lava flows. What some considered decisive blows from the volcano goddess Pele, Saddle Road was finally built in 1942, buckle my shoe, by the U.S. military. Just a dusty single-lane track created by connecting ranch trails, it was later widened and paved to accommodate civilian traffic. Back in the day, it was not well lit and included many steep inclines and drops, blind spots, and hairpin turns. Add to the spooky legends of paranormal presences inhabiting the wilderness it crosses, and you'll have the makings of quite an adventure. While some may dismiss the chicken skin tales of the old Saddle Road without exploring for yourselves on your own haunted road trip. Consider these witness reports when planning yours. The following accounts come from people of all walks of life who experienced terrifying, unexplained events like sightings of ghost lights and other strange occurrences, yet were brave enough to come forward publicly and tell their stories. The most spectacular flap of ghost stories on Saddle Road occurred in 1955. I believe that's the year Marty McFly went back home. Anyway, preceding the first volcanic eruption in the Puna area in 140 years, the witness accounts included a variety of strange phenomena, including sightings of ghost lights. The Macomber family of Waikiki were the first to come forward with their story. Their harrowing experiences began as they were driving home from visiting relatives in Hilo at about 2 a.m. on January 31st in their old pickup truck. The passenger side door had a tarp stretched across the window where the glass needed to be replaced. As the family ascended to the area of Saddle Road, past the timberline where fields of bare lava begin, a force abruptly pushed the tarp in on Mrs. McComber, who was sitting in the passenger seat. She and Mr. McComber tried to push it out unsuccessfully, fighting against something that felt solid and strong. Then the tapping began. These insistent knocks began on the roof of the cab and proceeded down the hood. As a frustrated Mr. McComber turned around to head back to Hilo, the mysterious force nearly tipped the truck on its side. That's when the family of four, Mr. McComber, Mrs. McComber, their son Norman, age 12, and their daughter Daisy, age 10, all saw the strange lights. Two lights were approaching from about 500 feet away. Could they be headlights? Was there someone else on the road who could stop and help? Although there was no place for a car to turn off, the lights suddenly disappeared. The family drove on, and the tapping on the exterior of the truck continued all the way back to Hilo. When the frightened family finally arrived at their relative's home, Norman and Mr. McComber jumped out of the truck, but Mrs. McComber and Daisy were still trapped inside. Mr. McComber struggled to free them with all his strength, but could not until he retrieved some Hawaiian salt from his relatives and threw handfuls of it into the truck. This action instantly released Daisy and Mrs. McComber from the ghostly embrace. Although some people blamed the weird occurrences on Pele, Mr. McComber had a different explanation. When the family finally returned home to Waikiki that day, they learned of other strange happenings from the night before that had occurred in their own neighborhood. Based on this new information, Mr. McComber speculated that this paranormal pestering was most likely due by some clear-cutting of trees in the area. He discovered that everyone responsible for the felling of all those trees, including himself, reported some sort of unusual and unwelcome visitation that night. However, perhaps that explanation doesn't fit, since the paranormal activity on Saddle Road continued. On February 9th, 2 carloads of school and county officials returning to Hilo via Saddle Road after a meeting in Kona spotted 2 yellowish-red ghost lights. This time they weren't on the road, but instead hovered amongst the brush in the desolate scrubland. They glowed dully until one went out and then the other. Some of these witnesses were named in the Honolulu Advertiser on February 16th, including Ernest B. Silva, Henry Nakata, and Harry Katsura of the DPI, County Engineer Yoshio Inaba, and Honolulu architect Ernest Hara. On February 14th, February 14th, you're getting presents for your sweetheart. It's Valentine's Day. But let's see what happens to a poor taxi driver named Pedro Manzano. He reported a frightening but helpful encounter. On the return trip to Hilo, after dropping off his passenger in Humula, he was forced to stop due to a flat tire. As he jacked up the car in the dark and prepared to change the tire, he dropped the lug wrench on the floor of the trunk. He had just finished placing the spare wheel and was starting the lug nuts with his fingers when he heard something impact the ground next to him. It was the wrench. Some unseen thing had anticipated his next move and tossed the lug wrench on the ground beside him. Although he was quite terrified, Mr. Manzano managed to gasp out a thank you, before hastily departing without bothering with the hubcap. And who had the nerve and audacity to email me while I'm doing this report? On February 15th, vacationers Melvin Summerfield and his wife, that's a nice last name, Jimmy Summerfield, and his wife were bound for Kona in a rented car. They stopped along Saddle Road to take some photos. When they got back in the car and realized the parking brake, to their astonishment, was released, the car began to roll backward uphill. When they tried again with the same results, the couple decided it would be safer to abandon their plans and just drive back to Hilo. Later in February, hundreds of earthquakes shook Hawaii. On February 28th, a mile-long crack in the ground opened in Puna and began spitting lava into the sky. Although Saddle Road is not in the vicinity of Puna, many felt the increase in ghostly activity presaged the event. Presaged? I don't know. Maybe that's because the same mysterious fireballs described above also appeared before the eruption in Pahoa along the Pohoiki Road in the Puna district. They were seen by Richard Lyman, a county supervisor, and Lily Torrey, the wife of Pahoa's school principal. Fireballs are not always munitions of paranormal warfare, but sometimes can convey the spirits of the dead, omens of impending death, or warnings to trespassers. Japanese immigrants to Hawaii call them hitodama. They are often a sign that the spirits of the dead are trying to communicate something to the living. Today, people still report strange experiences with mysterious fireballs in Facebook groups like Hawaiian Hauntings. Warnings to stay off Saddle Road. After dark persist there. One poster claims that around the year 2000, she and the other occupants of her white Ford Bronco, two sons, aged 10 and 12, and nephew, aged 10, all saw a fireball fly by them. The witness estimated that it passed as near as 15 to 20 feet in front of their truck. I just want to go back to, they want to explain that she was in a white Ford Bronco, which I find is really weird because usually you don't explain, like, fireballs went by her blue Chevy Nova. Like, why did they write white Ford Bronco? And what I jump to is OJ. So they just ruined my life. Because I don't know why they, but now I'm going to have to watch the OJ trial again for the fourth time. All right, let me go back to this. The witness estimated that it passed as near as 15 to 20 feet in front of their truck, just preceding the emergence of this Aquilele. The engine suddenly shut down and the lights went out. As the fireball flew away from them, thankfully, the truck's engine came back to life and the headlights switched back on. Clearly, though, the physical driving conditions on Saddle Road have improved, but its supernatural inhabitants still remain. And there you have it. The hauntings of Saddle Road.
The goddess of the volcano. Pele, the volcano goddess, can be found in many Hawaiian legends. It is said that if you meet a young beautiful woman in red or an older lady with white hair, you must greet her with aloha and offer her help. If you refuse to help, death or heartbreak will fall upon your family. Pele Hunaname, she who shapes the sacred land, is the goddess of fire and volcanoes. She continues to devour the Big Island with molten lava. also creating new land in the process. Small towns and entire forests have been wiped out by Pele's passionate, unpredictable, and volatile temper. And while her presence is felt on all of the Hawaiian Islands, legend maintains that she resides in one of the most active volcanoes in the world, at the summit of Keaolei, with Haluma's Uma U crater at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park on the Big Island. Pele sends rivers of lava down the mountainside, adding more than 70 acres of new land to the southeastern coast since 1983. Travel to her home and stand at the edge of the crater, and many say they are moved by the spirit of this goddess. In folklore, Pele travels throughout the islands, appearing to mankind as a beautiful young woman or an old woman, sometimes accompanied by a white dog. Refuse her requests and suffer her wrath, legend says. Tales of encounters with Pele include drivers who picked up an old woman dressed all in white on the roads of Keaolei National Park, only to look in the mirror to find the backseat empty. Others say Pele's face has mysteriously appeared in their photos of the lava lake within the crater or molten lava flows. Among the people of the islands, Pele is revered and respected. Ancient legends of Pele are wrought with fierce feuds and jealous outbursts. One story tells how Pele, one of 6 daughters and 7 sons born to Umea, the earth goddess, and Cain Miolei, creator of the sky, earth, and heavens. And like with last week's episode, these people need to read a Bible sometime. Came to Hawaii after being exiled from Tahiti by her father because of her temper. She fought with her elder sister, Nemamakayeye, the water goddess, whose husband Pele had seduced. Pele's older brother, Kimalehe, the king of the sharks, gave her a canoe that she and several of her siblings paddled across the sea, all while battling with Nemoakeke. The fire goddess landed first on Kau, but every time she thrust her digging stick into the earth to dig a pit for her home, Nemoakeke would flood the pits. Pele moved down the chain of islands in order of their geological formation, eventually landing on the Big Island, where she resides today. The ancient Hawaiians personified all natural forces as gods and goddesses, and thus Pele continues to make her majesty known from the mountain to the sea. This dark landscape, a reminder of her power to both create and destroy.
Iolani Palace. Moans, scary sounds, macabre visions, weird lights, and, well, just about anything that would get a fringe scientist's heart racing. Iolani Palace is the go-to place if you want an excuse to change your underwear. The place is pressure cooked by all manner of this is stupid, of supernatural fisticuffs. Constructed in 1882, this palace was once home to Hawaii's last ruling royalty, King Kalakaua and his sister, Queen Liliuokalani. The Queen passed away in 1917, but it is also said that her spirit still roams the halls of the stately home.
If you're lucky enough, you might just have a UFO sighting while you're in Hawaii, like this one. Bright blue UFO seen crashing into ocean near Hawaii prompts 911 calls. An unidentified flying object spotted in Hawaii caught enough people's attention to get the Federal Aviation Administration involved. FAA agents confirm they did receive reports about the UFO from police, who were getting several 911 calls about it. The callers all said they saw a large blue object fall out of the sky and into the ocean. Multiple videos show the object flying in the night sky near Alikele Avenue in Nanakuli. Mistina Sape said, "I started calling my husband because they were all out in the garage, and I was like, hey, come, look up there. See if you see what I see." And they all did. "I don't know what it was. This one was going so fast," Sape said. She was never a believer in UFOs, but the bright blue object intrigued her so much that she jumped in her car and followed after it. Her investigation ended 3 miles later when the blue light, which she described as being larger than a telephone pole, appeared to fall into the ocean. It crashed through the water without making a sound. And that's when Sape and her husband called 911. When officers arrived, they all spotted a second light in the sky. "My husband went to look up and he saw the white one coming. The white one was smaller. It was coming in the same direction as the blue one." The white light passed over a nearby town and then disappeared from view. Honolulu Police Department said it did not have any information about the case that it could release. However, the FAA said it received a report from the department about a possible airplane down in the area. The FAA said it did not have any aircraft disappear off the radar, nor any reports of overdue or missing aircraft. "To this day, I don't know," said Sape. So yeah, be on the lookout for those UFOs.
Morgan's Corner. In 1948, 2 escaped felons, James Majors and John Palaquico, butchered 68-year-old widow Teresa Wilder on Morgan's Corner. Wilder was tied, hammered, and smothered in her bed. It became a nationwide event, and the yellow rags went hog wild with the Murder in Paradise angle. They ran with it. Morgan's Corner is now abandoned and not a single remains. At night, the unexplained stories surrounding this place come alive and leap at passerbys' throats. Turn your hair white apparitions, unexplained sounds, spine-tingling screams, the perpetual feeling of someone cutting the rug on your grave. Natives believe that Wilder never left, and that her 2 malefactors, those knaves, also haunt the area. It's also obvious to me that this person tried to use the biggest, and he thought it was the smartest words for everything, and it just became awkward. You could have described it more simply, mister. Thank you. Morgan's Corner.
Hawaii has its very own cryptid, the Menehune. Menehune are dwarf-like creatures that reside in lush forests far from civilization. These 2-foot-tall creatures are portrayed as mysterious, but also have excellent craftsmanship, constructing anything they desire. Hey, let's talk about building me a tool shed. Okay. They are credited with building the Menehune fish pond in Kau in just one night. Hawaiians refer to Menehune as the child of the land, which has come to mean indigenous peoples. Thomas George Thrum, an Australian antiquarian, considered the Menehune to be the ancestors of modern-day Hawaiians and their culture to predate all other Polynesian cultures. The Menehune are said to be muscular with low, protruding foreheads and big eyes, hidden by thick eyebrows. Hawaiians could call on the Menehune to complete construction work overnight, and payment was 1 shrimp for each Menehune. The construction projects were usually public works, such as roads or temples, and the Menehune would pass blocks of basalt along a line as they went about their work. So basically, if you see an old mine or a fishing pond or anything like that, and you don't know who built it, it was probably a Menehune. Today, the Menehune's cartoon-like image is used to sell anything from bottled water to chocolates and tourist trinkets.
On our trip to Hawaii today, we have a special sponsor, the Skyway Luggage Company. You know, for over 100 years, Skyway has understood your love of travel. That's why our diverse offering of luggage and travel accessories focuses on quality materials, innovative features, and creative designs to feed your sense of wanderlust again and again. Founded in 1910 by A.J. Kotkins, Skyway began operation from Seattle's Pioneer Square under the name Seattle Suitcase Trunk and Bag Manufacturing Company. A.J.'s son, Henry Louis Kotkins, joined the business in 1936. With a vision inspired by the growing airline industry and the excitement of air travel, he introduced a line of luggage called Skyway. Kotkins' commitment to delivering high-quality products earned him a loyal following of international travelers seeking a reliable yet accessible travel experience. Today, the brand continues to manifest its respected reputation through constant innovation, characterized by the utilization of durable materials to create lasting travel statements. Skyway is the perfect companion for the adventurer. Our luggage does more than hold your possessions. We add functionality to whatever trip you're taking. We are an extension of your personal style, and we make your travel experience better because we stand by the ideals of quality, functionality, and modern style. We have since 1910. That's Skyway!
The Legend of the Long-Lasting Peace in Kauai. I used to have a pen pal that lived in Kauai. Shout out Mary. This legend comes from a time when each island in Hawaii had its own chief ruler. The chiefs were constantly at war with each other, trying to conquer more territories for themselves. But while the neighboring islands were torn by wars, Kauai managed somehow to keep its peace and independence for more than 500 years. How was that possible? Legend has it that this long period of peace started in the 14th century with King Kakuna. During his reign, all the other Hawaiian islanders had been conquered by an ambitious chief from the Big Island. Eventually, the Big Island's chief set his eye on Kauai as well and tried to attack the island. King Kakuna fought bravely, defeating his attackers. In the battle, he managed to take captive not only the chief of the Big Island, but also all the other islands' chiefs who joined him in the attack. Instead of killing them, however, Kakuna decided to take all of them for a walk around the beautiful island. After walking for a while, King Kahuna decided to stop around the area that is today known as Koki Park. While resting under a tree, he fell asleep. Seeing an opportunity for revenge, the captured chiefs plotted to kill him in his sleep, but the chief of Maui objected, reminding him that King Kakuna spared their lives when he could have killed them. Just at that moment, King Kahuna woke up and told them that he was just pretending to be asleep and overheard everything they plotted. But again, he decided to spare their lives on one condition: neither them nor their descendants would ever attack Kauai ever again. Relieved that they escaped death a second time, the chiefs agreed and swore with a solemn vow to keep their promise. They even raised a small monument as a reminder of their oath. The legend says that because of their promise, Kauai remained an independent state for over 500 years.
Next, we're going to pay a little visit to Nuuanu Pali Lookout. In 1795, King Kamehameha, chief of the Big Island at the time, tried to combine the islands by declaring war against the chief of Oahu, Chief Kalanikapule. This was a historic event and one of the most bloody periods in Hawaiian history. Strange choice of words right there. Mid-skirmish, King Kamehameha troops, having invaded Oahu, start pushing hard the flanks of Kalakapule's dwindling army. It comes down to mano-a-mano action, but Kalakapule's warriors are simply overwhelmed. The battle continues. The invading army closes ranks and forces the beleaguered soldiers to choose their fate: die by the hands of theirs, or, listen to this, Kalakapule's warriors, more than 400 of them, jumped off the edge of Pali to their deaths. The bones of the combatants are said to still be on the floor of the cliff. Visitors have stated that at night you can hear the howls, cries, and desperate bellows of the fallen warriors. Reports of shadowy figures abound, and the area is said to be cursed. Pali Lookout is one of the many spots where the infamous night marchers travel through, and to the natives a no-fly zone on certain evenings. During the day, the Pali Lookout is frequented by visitors for its panoramic view of East Oahu, but at night, it has been told that you can hear the howling and crying of the fallen warriors. There have also been several reports of shadowy figures seen in the area, but you can pay a visit to see for yourself. And I'm going to go look up night marchers.
The Shark Man, who loves human flesh. The Shark Man, aptly named, is the shape-shifting child of the Shark King and a human woman named Kalei. According to legend, his mother tried to suppress his animal desires by keeping meat away from him when he was a child. But when he came of age and started dining with men, he took his first bite of meat, and an insatiable hunger for flesh was born. The problem was, animal meat wasn't enough. He desired humans. He would transform into a shark and snatch up locals swimming in the ocean. Eventually, they struck back, hunting him down in his shark form and beating him to death. They chanted over his body, cut him into pieces, and burned the remains out of fear of healing and regeneration powers. Now his vengeful spirit hides in the Kanahe cave. The cave has its own passage leading straight to the sea. It's said he uses it to drag victims through it back to his cave to eat them.
Wahiawa Botanical Garden. The Green Lady is said to haunt the botanical gardens. In the middle of Oahu, the botanical garden is 27 acres of beautiful native flora displays. The garden first began out as a playground in the 1920s. In 1957, it was formally inaugurated as a botanical garden. Local legend has it that the area is haunted by the Green Lady, a jagged-toothed, hair-covered in seaweed and fish-like scales crone that has the habit of kidnapping the innocent. The Green Lady.
The Hawaiian legend of the Napaka flower. Napaka is a unique flower that grows only in Hawaii and no place else in the world. For this reason, the flower is tied to one of the most beloved legends of Hawaii. What makes this flower unique is its appearance. It rather looks as a half flower with missing petals. What is also interesting is that this shrub grows both in the mountains and near the beach. So how can this half flower grow so well in two very different environments? Well, it's because there is a folk tale behind it. The legend says the base of Makana Mountain near the north shore of Kau, there is an old and prestigious hula school for boys and girls. The students had to obey very strict rules and protocols, but two students, Nau and Paka, fell in love. According to the school rules, they couldn't date each other, so they were meeting only in secret. One night, the schoolmaster, Evil Kileu, heard the splashes of someone crossing the stream behind her house. She followed the sound of the footsteps, and to her surprise and anger, she discovered that Nau and Paka were together. The two lovers began running for their lives because they knew their punishment would be death. Kind of strict. Kilo ran after them, demanding that they stop, but the two continued to run, reaching a cave near the beach. The young boy, Nau, told Paka to hide in there. Trying to divert Kilo's attention, he ran up the mountain, but Paka saw Kilo running after Nau and feared for her lover's life. She stepped out of the cave, trying to block Kilo's way, but she got killed on the spot. Blinded by rage, Kilo continued to run after Nau. She caught up with him high up on the mountain and killed him too. The next morning, the people living nearby noticed that a new plant began growing up from the sand where Paka died. It was a beautiful shrub, but the flowers had only half petals. The same flower began growing up in the mountains where Nau died. The half flowers are a reminder that the two lovers are forever separated. They say that when one puts these two half flowers together, they form a complete circle that allows Nau and Paka to be together for a brief moment.
The nice peaceful sounds of Hawaii. But the terrifying legend of the Night Marchers. The retelling of spooky ghost tales has been a favorite form of entertainment and an important cultural link in Hawaii since ancient times. Ghostly images or haunting acts have been reported in old buildings, deep valleys, sacred burial sites, ancient temple sites, forested areas, beaches, and lava fields. With a rich history of mythology and folklore and numerous sacred sites, Hawaii's link to the past is ever present. A good majority of Hawaii residents have either had a spooky encounter at some point during their lives or know of someone with an eerie story to tell. One of the most popular subjects of ghost stories in the islands is the Night Marchers. Night Marchers are ghostly apparitions of a band of beings who move with purpose to the beat of primitive pounding drums. Some say they are armed spirit warriors en route to or from battle, toting archaic weaponry and clothed in decorated helmets and cloaks. Other accounts tell of high-ranking ruler spirits being guided to places of high importance or to welcome new warriors to join in battle. Perhaps these restless souls are looking to reclaim rightful territory, replay a battle gone awry, or avenge their own deaths. Some say the Night Marchers are searching methodically for an entrance into the next world. Night Marchers are said to roam through very specific locations and are often recognized by their raised torches and chants. Although there have been a few scattered reports of daytime marches, these apparitions appear to be most active at night and are said to march on certain nights designated by the moon. And although the night marchers allegedly float a few inches above the ground, some local accounts tell of seeing mysterious footprints in their path after they have passed. The Night Marchers!
Hawaii is full of haunted places. Sometimes it seems like you can't make it to the next block or street or house without crossing some kind of hallowed ground. But you never know it. And everyone has their own stories of strange encounters with the supernatural that weave together Hawaiian mythology with imported legends and rituals from the many ethnic groups who've made Hawaii their home. The choking ghost comes to you while you're asleep. The choking ghost is said to be the most prevalent ghost in the islands, perhaps because so many cultures have a version of a choking ghost. In Hawaii, everyone seems to have a story about waking up in the middle of the night and feeling like something is pressing on their chest and choking them. You try to scream, but you can't. You try to move, but that fails too. And just when you think you'll suffocate, the ghost leaves. And here's someone's very own personal story about the choking ghost. I've experienced the choking ghost firsthand dozens of times, most recently in a rental in Hawaii Kai. I would feel a heavy pressure on my chest as I slept, so oppressive I could hardly breathe. I couldn't even open my eyes. I would claw and kick and gasp for air until all at once the pressure would disappear, and I would wake up sweating and panting. Many say this is just sleep paralysis, a transitional state between wakefulness and sleep, often accompanied by terrifying hallucinations. I suppose that would explain the long-haired Japanese, a bachan, who I would often see lying next to me after an episode of paralysis. I think that was sarcastic. A former town and land division, Amakepoko, is said to be haunted by spirits from the area's missionary and plantation days. An abandoned high school is the site of a local legend telling of choking ghosts who accost students who were skipping class. The ghost of a girl crying inside the boarded-up high school bathroom has also been reported. And that's about all the creepy Hawaiian stories we have for you. Thanks for listening. Thanks as always, Jimmy Haunted. Thanks, Paul Chadwick. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again right here next week. God bless you.
And other strange occurrences, yet were brave enough to come forward publicly and tell their stories. Yep, Mr. Haunted screwed up right there. We're supposed to hear this. The most spectacular flap of ghost stories on Saddle Road.